In a land of myth and a time of magic, the destiny of a great kingdom rests on the shoulders of a young man. His name, Merlin.
I'm doing a little tea time today. I'm doing an old school tea time, and by old school I mean one of the very first tea times I ever did on my channel that I thought I was gonna do a lot more of, but didn't. And then when I was cleaning, I found these pieces of paper with fandoms on them. And I was like, oh yeah, I never did that. So I'm gonna do that this year. Not for every tea time, but for the first tea time, because I wanted to bring back an OG. Because nostalgia. So in case y'all forgot, I have this handy dandy TARDIS that have a Steve and Bucky head inside them. It's a little weird. And inside there are papers. And those papers have the names of fandoms written on them. And I had a lot more. I don't know why there are so few. And I don't know which ones are still in there. So I'm just gonna shake up the TARDIS, grab a piece of paper, say what fandom it is, and then I'm just gonna tell you guys a little bit about that fandom. We're just gonna chat. We're just gonna chat. You already know what fandom it is. I don't. Merlin! Oh my gosh! I've actually wanted to talk about Merlin for a real long time now. Oh yeah. Merlin! If you don't believe me, it's right there. It says Merlin. Yeah. Okay. So, Merlin is a BBC show, which means it's a British show. It ran for 5 seasons. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my Merlin journey. So, I knew about Merlin in high school. It ended in 2012, so it ended right after I graduated high school. And, that was devastating for me. Let's be real. The Arthurian legend is my favorite legend. Just like Greek mythology is my favorite mythology, the Arthurian legend is my favorite legend. I love the Arthurian legend. I have ever since I was a little girl. It's one of those things that I just randomly know things about, and I don't really know why. Nobody in my family ever talks to me about the Arthurian legend, but I just, like, I know things. I don't know how. Anyway, I've always loved it. And so I read books about it and all that stuff. So my friends would talk about this show, and I have a favorite knight, and it's Gawain. I love Gawain so much. They would talk about the show, and they would never really tell me anything about it except that I wasn't allowed to be Gawain because I didn't know what show they were actually talking about. They wanted me to be Gaius, and I had no idea who Gaius was. And then Maddie was like, he's an old dude that heals people. And I was like, I don't want to be an old dude that heals people. I don't know anything about this person. I need to watch this show first. What show is it? And they're just like, oh, it's just a show called Merlin. I didn't know what it was called. Like, I didn't really know anything about that. That was like sophomore, junior year. Anyway, senior year, I got sick, and so I had to stay home one day, which is rare because my mom works at the school. So it's not like my mom had to call in and tell them I'm going to be sick, but it's also really because, like, my mom is really strict about missing school because she's the one that has to deal with everybody that's gone. And so I was sick senior year, and I was old enough to be alone by myself at home, so it was just a really bad cold. Like, it was just a really bad cold. I didn't need to be supervised or given medication or anything. I could handle it. And so I was stationed in the living room, as I usually was when I had a cold, and I was doing homework. I was working on a poster I had to make, so it was sit down, do nothing but slightly be productive homework that I had to do. And so I had the TV on because I can't focus if there's just like pure silence, and I didn't have like any CDs or anything at that time. So I had the TV on, and I was just channel surfing, and I found this. It was a marathon, and it was just like Merlin. It was like on Sci-Fi or TNT or something like that. It wasn't BBC America. And so I just was like, oh, I like the Arthurian legend, so I just popped it on, and it was like in the middle of season 4. Well, it was the beginning of season 4, so I literally had no idea what was going on, but I quickly grasped what was going on. I mean, I knew the fundamentals. I knew who Arthur was. I knew who Merlin was. I knew who Guinevere and the Knights and Morgana and Mordred were like, I knew who was who and what eventually was going to happen. So I just started watching it. And that's how I spent my sick day. I watched Merlin and I worked on my poster and I got better. I really did get a lot better. It was like a 24-hour almost flu kind of a thing. So by the time my mom came home, I was doing okay. I wasn't about to throw up anymore, and I was coughing a little bit less, sneezing a little bit less, and I was able to move more. So then my mom decides that she needs me to go to town with her. So I love my mother, but she stops the show, like right in the middle of an episode. Like literally Merlin had just charged a ghost that was going to kill him and just got, he should be dead. And then my mom's just like, okay, we gotta go to town. And I was like, why do I have to go to town with you? And she's like, you do, come on. And so since she's my mother, I was like, fine, I will go to town with you and be sad and not know anything about Merlin for the next year and a half. Just kidding, it wasn't a year and a half. It was a year. And then I was in college, and my roommates had told me about this store that wasn't that far away where you could rent TV shows. So naturally, I started renting Doctor Who, and I got caught up in Doctor Who, and then I was watching Doctor Who online, and then I found out that they had Merlin, and so I got sick again because I walked to the store in the wintertime. Yeah, this was January, February of 2013, so this was like right after the show had ended. So I'm like forever behind on this show. I walked to the store to get the first as many cases of Merlin as I could get, and I walked home, and then the next day I woke up and I was sick and I couldn't go to class. Like, I was really bad sick too. My roommate saw me and she's like, you look like you're dying. And I was like, well, thanks. So I stationed myself out in the living room doing whatever little bits of homework I could and watched Merlin. And I binged that sucker in like a week. Man, that was awesome. But also, then I had to watch the rest of it online because I had just ended and the DVDs weren't out or anything. And so I had to sit at the school because we didn't have Wi-Fi. We lived off campus. We didn't have Wi-Fi at our apartment. And so I would walk home really slowly while watching it on my laptop and just try to drain as much Wi-Fi from the school as I possibly could. And like I would load episodes, and so I was watching an episode and it was like 1 a.m. and it started buffering, and it was literally the very last episode. And one of my roommates, I had 2 roommates, one of my roommates had watched bits of Merlin with me, and she was slightly invested, not invested enough to make me stop and wait to watch when she could, but she would always plop down and be like, okay, what's this and this and this and this. And I don't mind explaining things to people that have missed a few things. Like, if they're just not paying attention, that's a different thing. But she actually wanted to know because she had missed a few episodes. So that's fine. Anyway, she was still awake then too. And she heard me go, no! And we texted, and we were like, because we had different rooms. And so she drove me around town to like her aunt's house so we can drain her aunt's Wi-Fi so we could watch the series finale together. And then on the way home, I was just like in her car crying. And she's like, but you knew that's how it was gonna end, because Merlin always ends the same way. And I was like, yeah, I know that's how it's gonna end, but that doesn't mean it's any less sad. And I was so sad, and I cried for so many days, and I love Merlin so much, and I try to rewatch it as much as I can. I've tried to get so many people in my life invested in Merlin, and I just, hold on, I've been talking a lot. I love Merlin. It's great. I mean, I love the Arthurian legend, and I've read so many other books about the Arthurian legend. My favorite are the Gerald Morris Squire's Tales books. Love those books. My favorite show so far has been Merlin. I love it so much. It's beautiful, and the acting is great, and the plots are fantastic, and I love how everything eventually came to be. I mean, I hated it. I really, truly did hate it. I wish there had been more seasons, and I wish things had happened in a slightly different way at the very end. But I do think it was really, really good, and I liked it. And I kind of hope that they pick it up again sometime later in the future, because how it ended, you could do something with it. It wouldn't be the same. It really wouldn't be the same. But you could do something with it. And yeah. Dude, like, I still keep tabs on Merlin. It's been a hot minute since I've actually watched Merlin. I was planning on doing a rewatch this year, but I heard that they're taking it off Netflix, so I'm going to see if I can watch as much of it as I possibly can before they take it off Netflix. I'm probably going to buy the DVDs of Merlin because I love it so much. The Arthurian legend is my favorite legend, and Merlin is my favorite visual way to experience the Arthurian legend. If you haven't seen Merlin, I really don't know what's wrong with you. I mean, if you are even just slightly interested in the Arthurian legend, Merlin is really good. The acting is great, the plots are great, the characters are great. Okay, see, the thing is, I don't like Lancelot. I don't like Lancelot. I think Jean Dulac is better, but that's the Gerald Morris books talking. But the thing with Merlin is, I like that Lancelot. I do. He's a good guy. Gawain is still my favorite. I have this whole rant I could give about Gawain. And I do give that rant about Gawain so many times. But I really do like this. And so, every now and then, the actors from Merlin will pop up on another show. Bradley James was on iZombie for a few episodes. Katie McGrath is on Supergirl. She plays Lena Luthor on Supergirl. And, oh my gosh, it's kind of like a whole Morgana situation going on again. And I love it and I hate it. And it's just... These guys are great. They're so great. Merlin is just so great. The clothes are so fun. I did a casual cosplay of Merlin my very first year on YouTube. Yeah, I did. That's how much I love it. I casually cosplay Merlin. I really genuinely do. One day I just threw that outfit together the year before I even started. And because my sister had given me that coat as a gift, and so I put that outfit together and I looked at myself and I was like, you know, if I added a scarf, I'd be Merlin. Until I added the scarf. And oh my gosh, it's just... That show is really something. And it's great. And the Merlin fandom is still strong after all these years. I still follow Merlin accounts and they still post. My favorite is Merlin Phils on Instagram. I love her so much. She actually does things with some people of the cast. Some of the people in the cast. And I love following Merlin accounts. They just make me so happy because it was just such a simple time of my life. And I was just so happy. I know it's so sad. They ended it on Christmas Eve. Who does that? And that's not a happy ending. I mean, you guys know what happens to Arthur at the end of his story, right? I mean, that's how it always ends. Still, they ended it on Christmas Eve. Why would you do that? Anyway, Merlin is one of my top tier fandoms. If you don't know what that means, go watch my fandom tiers video. That was like the second video I ever posted on YouTube. So good luck finding that one. It's all the way down at the bottom. Yeah, it's top tier. One of my favorites. I'm a super Humorlockian. If you guys ever really remember what that is. I'm a super Humorlockian. There's always Super Hulock. They always talk about Super Hulock. But why don't they ever talk about the BBC Triangle? They literally call it, I'm not the first person that said that. On Tumblr, they called it the BBC Triangle. It's Doctor Who, Sherlock, and Merlin. They call it the BBC Triangle, like the Bermuda Triangle. So it's like a super Humorlockian. Like, Humorlock is the BBC Triangle. And then you had the super from the Americans, the Supernatural, and the Doctor Who, and the Merlin, and the Sherlock. I'm a super Humorlockian. That was my handle on Instagram for like ever and a day, super Humorlockian. Because like nobody ever called themselves a super Humorlockian. And I'm saying that a lot now. But I'm a super Humerlockian, and I will continue to be a super Humerlockian for like the rest of my days. And those are the 4 fandoms that have literally changed my life, except for Hamilton and Shadowhunters, which are the pillars that lead to the middle tier, and then there's the bottom tier, and then there's the cupcakes. It's like a cake. Got the top tier. It's like one of those fancy 90s weddings cakes where you have the top tier, and then you have those like pillars, and then you have the middle tier, and then the bottom tier, and then there's all those cupcakes that surround it. That's how I view my fandoms. So Merlin is in my top tier, and which means it's like, I could talk to you for days about Merlin, and I have talked to you for a really long time about Merlin, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you guys like listening to me rant about Merlin. I could literally do this for the rest of my days. I love that show so much. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you do like the Arthurian legend. I have so many things that I could recommend to you. Anyway, yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Please give it a thumbs up and comment down below some of the legends that you like. If you like the Arthurian legend, if you've seen Merlin or not, please tell me if you've seen Merlin. And if you haven't, please watch Merlin. Please, please, please watch Merlin. And go check out my other socials because yes, I post about Merlin over there. And you guys probably didn't even know that. And I'm probably gonna post about Merlin a lot more now. It's just on my mind. It's been on my mind a lot these days. And so definitely go check out my other socials because I'm a fangirl everywhere in my life. There's no escaping it. Anyway, I hope you guys stick around this channel, and I hope you guys are having an amazing week and an amazing life, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.